Hi, I'm going to talk about the Extract 3. The Extract 3 corresponds to Great Gatsby, uh, and it portrays the hunt and death and murder of Jay Gatsby by Wilson, George Wilson, after his wife was killed by Daisy Buchanan using Gatsby's car. The narrative and literary importance of this passage lies in the death of Gatsby, that is the central character of the novel, and concludes in one of the main themes, that is the fatal destiny that awaits when holding into the past. Well, first of all, his death is a symbol that his desire was always a lie, represented by the irony that is reflected in the fact that Gatsby is killed because he was being blamed by the accident regarding Myrtle's death. Also, he tries to cover Daisy, uh, as she was the real the real person who caused the accident. However, this was not retributed to her because even though Gatsby did this for love, she then after Gatsby's death, she does not even go to the funeral, with make his death seem pointless because then he was believing in a love that would never happen. The intention of the author in this passage is to make the reader feel pity towards towards Gatsby's death, because his love was betrayed, and another intention is to construct a certain empathy towards Wilson, which was the one who is like the most affected morally within the passage. Uh, Finally, the author uses the tone within all the text as the main instrument to incentivize the feeling on the reader. Okay, the themes that are seen throughout the novel are love as the driving force of the action of the characters. Love molds morality and ethics because the characters are act solely according to it, and the death is the only way that characters can wash away the ashes of the past. Okay, so the first theme uh, is focused on two main characters, which are Wilson and Gatsby. So first of all, Wilson. For Wilson, the extract initiates with a series of premonitory elements, uh, preventing the reader from Gatsby's death, and this is evidenced by the uncommon behavior and the uncommon behavior of Wilson, and creating a somber tone throughout this part. This is evidence within these passages. He bought a sandwich that he didn't eat and a cup of coffee, and a man acting sort of crazy. This reflects the anxiety the Wilson is feeling at that moment, uh, which prevents the reader from this. Even though Wilson's intentions are not like stated, like specifically in the novel, the reader may interpret the acts to come, connecting Wilson's determination. Uh, with the pursuit of the yellow car. Uh, Also, the reader already knows that this car is Gatsby's car. So there is a acknowledge from the author that the Wilson's final intention is to kill Gatsby, and this is shown within the next passage. And perhaps he had an easier, surer way of finding out that he wanted to know. Uh, all his actions are driven by love that he has lost, because I mean, his wife Myrtle died, and this is done in order to intensify the empathy the reader has towards Wilson. Okay, and then with Gatsby, the tone concerning Gatsby's passage is shown as being reflexive and possess a solitude that gives the reader like compassion towards Gatsby's death due to the lack of unhappiness of his impossible love. So this is shown within the following descriptive language, that is yellowing trees, shadows of waves, a mattress that had amused his guests during summer. Uh, all of this is used to show the reflexive, the reflexive of the passage. And then, if he was true, he must have felt that he had loved old warm world, paid high price for living too long with a single dream. And throughout this passage, the perspective of Nick, uh, is shown the it is shown the high cost and the desire of Gatsby to obtain love, and that this dream was never accomplished, and instead ended in a terrible nightmare that was his death. Parallel to these events, uh, bit, I mean, to Gatsby's death and the Daisy's message that was never sent, shows that the death of Gatsby was also a consequence between the impossible love uh, of the two characters. This is shown in the passage. Not a love message arrived, but the butler went without his sleep and awaited for it until 4 o'clock, until long after there was anyone to give it to if it came. So the fact that this message is non-existent uh, intensifies like the lack of care that Daisy had toward the toward a relation between her and Gatsby, and the pity that can be felt by the reader towards Gatsby in this part. The next topic is love molds morality and ethics because the characters act solely according to it. So Wilson stands for the normal man, is representing the normal man, but it's destroyed by the immorality of the other characters, like for example Tom, uh, as he almost manipulates Wilson in all the novel, and this is contrasted with Daisy, who, different from Wilson, is able to kill without remorse, shown in Myrtle's death, and the fact that Wilson immediately takes his life, and Daisy is like does not feel the necessity of killing herself as Wilson did, like to receive a punishment, uh, like emphasizes the fact that Wilson is mostly the character with like most moral on the novel. And in the following passage, it was after we started with Gatsby toward the house that the gardener saw Wilson's body with a little way off in the grass, and the holocaust was complete. In this part, it somehow seems to have a biblical allusion, that is eye for an eye, and it is a belief about him that destroys the symbol of the consequence that the carelessness of the wealthy have on the average person. This contributes to Fitzgerald's larger theme in the corruption of the wealth. The last theme is that death is the only way characters can wash away the ashes of the past. and this is shown as Gatsby does not stop his act of death. I mean, he doesn't stop Wilson from killing him, or he does not make any action in order to stop him, uh, because he knows that that death is the only way of living the past. So Wilson, this is shown when Wilson is represented before killing Gatsby, uh, as the death itself, when it says a new world, material without being real, where poor ghosts breathing dreams like air drifted fortuitously about, like the ashen, like that ashen fantastic figure gliding toward him through the amorphous trees. I mean, okay, in this specific part, the the phrases that represent Wilson as death is poor ghosts, breathing dreams like air, the fantastic figure, all these small connotations make Wilson seem as death itself. Finally, the car is not the car. Gatsby's car is not only corrupt for being the object that ended Myrtle's life, but the fact that it's also yellow, and the constant use of this color that serve the the author the purpose of disassociating the wealth with goodness, and then reassociating with corruption and impurity, uh, like uh, permits the Gatsby's car to also be corrupted. And also all of the objects that seem yellow or gold belong or carry actions for the corrupt of the corrupt. Um, However, like these actions of the corrupt are left behind with Gatsby's death, uh, as he dies in the past, uh, because it is shown in the passage that as he died in the water, and he also started in the water when at the beginning of the novel they explain Gatsby's past. He he left behind Jake Gatsby in that moment and to become Jake Gatsby, but with this death, now he leaves Jake Gatsby apart and free and to another identity in order to free from these forces of love.